Las Vegas, Nevada, July 7, 2018. The T-Mobile Arena glowed with the particular energy that emerges when groundbreaking technology meets legendary artistry. The occasion was the closing night of the Future of Music Festival, a 3-day event bringing together innovative performance technologies and contemporary musicians exploring new frontiers of creative expression. Tonight's finale had been promoted simply as a tribute to legends, the deliberately vague billing generating intense speculation across social media platforms in the weeks leading up to the event. The sold-out arena of 20,000 people represented a unique convergence of demographics. Music industry professionals, technology enthusiasts, and dedicated fans spanning multiple generations of popular music. What only a select few insiders knew was that this evening would feature the most technologically advanced holographic performances ever attempted, using revolutionary volumetric capture technology to recreate two of music's most innovative artists, Michael Jackson and Prince. Both estates had granted unprecedented access to archival performance footage, private rehearsal materials, and isolated vocal tracks to create what developers were calling the most authentic digital resurrection yet achieved. The technical ambition extended beyond even these groundbreaking holographic recreations. Suspended high above the arena was a fleet of 300 synchronized drones, each equipped with sophisticated LED technology and controlled by an algorithmic system capable of responding in real time to musical input. This aerial array represented the most complex implementation yet of performance drone technology, a system designed to translate sound into visual patterns with a level of responsiveness and artistic sophistication previously unimaginable. As the house lights dimmed and anticipatory conversation faded to hushed expectation, a single beam of light illuminated the center of the stage. The festival's artistic director, a renowned composer who had worked extensively with both Michael Jackson and Prince during their lives, stepped into this solitary spotlight. "Tonight," she began, her voice carrying equal measures of reverence and excitement, "we honor two revolutionary artists who continually pushed the boundaries of what was possible in performance. We believe they would have appreciated our attempt to continue that spirit of innovation as we remember their extraordinary legacies." The statement was carefully constructed, acknowledging the ethical complexity of digital recreation while emphasizing the tribute's focus on continuing rather than simply reproducing the artistic innovation that had characterized both performers. The audience response suggested understanding of this delicate balance, appreciative applause rather than sensationalistic anticipation. "What you're about to experience," the director continued, "combines the most advanced holographic technology with a synchronized drone orchestra that will visualize music in a completely new way. These 300 aerial lights will respond in real time to what you hear, creating a visual representation of the musical conversation between two artists who, in life, were often positioned as rivals, but who shared a common commitment to expanding the possibilities of musical expression." As she concluded her introduction and exited the stage, the arena fell into complete darkness. For several long seconds, nothing happened, a deliberate void creating space for the weight of anticipation to build. Then, a single piano note sounded, pure, unembellished, floating through the darkness with crystalline clarity. Simultaneously, a single drone illuminated high above the stage, its light corresponding precisely to the note's pitch, intensity, and duration. As the note faded, the light dimmed in perfect synchronization, creating a visual echo of the auditory experience. A second note followed, then a third, each accompanied by its corresponding aerial light, building a visual melody that matched the evolving piano introduction. The audience remained completely silent, collectively holding their breath as they began to comprehend the sophisticated integration of sound and light unfolding before and above them. As the musical phrase developed into a recognizable introduction to Michael Jackson's Human Nature, additional drones activated in choreographed sequence, creating patterns that visualized not just the melody but the harmonic structure supporting it, different colors representing different elements of the musical architecture. When the holographic Michael Jackson appeared at center stage, his form materializing with a level of dimensional authenticity that transcended previous efforts at digital recreation, the audience response was immediate and profound. This wasn't the uncanny approximation that had characterized earlier holographic performances but something approaching presence. a recreation so nuanced in its capturing of Michael's distinctive movement quality and physical expressiveness that it created an almost visceral sense of his essence. The hologram began to sing, the voice not synthesized but reconstructed from isolated vocal tracks, maintaining all the emotional nuance and technical brilliance of the original performances. As Michael's voice filled the arena, the drone array responded, expanding its patterns to visualize the vocal line, creating aerial choreography that complemented the iconic movements being performed on stage. For the first segment of the show, this groundbreaking integration of holographic performance and drone visualization focused on Michael's work, moving through carefully selected pieces from his catalog that demonstrated both his artistic evolution and the continuing relevance of his musical innovations. The drone orchestra responded to each song with distinct visual interpretations, sometimes creating abstract patterns that captured the emotional quality of the music, other times forming recognizable symbols associated with Michael's legacy. The transition to the Prince segment of the tribute was handled with sophisticated theatrical effect. As Michael's hologram concluded, "Man in the Mirror," the drone array transformed from the warm gold that had characterized its visualization of his performance to a deep purple that immediately signaled the shift to Prince's musical world. Prince's holographic appearance generated a response equal to Michael's. Recognition of the extraordinary technical achievement combined with emotional resonance for an artist whose physical presence had been so integral to his impact. Like the Michael recreation, this wasn't simply a visual approximation but a nuanced capturing of Prince's distinctive movement quality, facial expressions, and performance energy. As Prince began to perform, the drone orchestra responded with visualization approaches that contrasted with those used for Michael's segment. More angular patterns, more rapid transitions, more experimental color combinations that reflected the different aesthetic sensibilities and musical structures characteristic of Prince's work. The visual distinction created a perfect complement to the auditory contrast between the two artists' distinctive sounds. If the story moves you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more innovative tributes to legendary artists who shaped our musical landscape. The tribute's most ambitious and emotionally resonant segment came in its final sequence. As Prince's hologram concluded a powerful rendition of Purple Rain, the stage lighting shifted to create a visual environment that belonged to neither artist's specific aesthetic, but instead established a neutral territory for what would follow. The music transitioned to an instrumental piece created specifically for this performance, a composition that ingeniously integrated harmonic and rhythmic elements from both artists' work into a new framework designed to suggest dialogue rather than combination. This wasn't a medley or blend but a musical conversation between distinctive voices, each maintaining its essential character while engaging with the other. Both holograms appeared on stage together, positioned at opposite ends with the central space between them initially empty. As the musical dialogue developed, they began to move toward center stage, their characteristic movement vocabularies maintained but now existing in relationship to each other. The drone orchestra responded with its most complex visualization yet, split into two distinct arrays that reflected each artist's musical elements while gradually creating patterns of intersection and integration as the composition evolved. Above Michael, the drones formed fluid, precise patterns that reflected the architectural precision of his musical approach. Above Prince, they created more improvisational, jazz-influenced configurations that captured his more experimental tendencies. As the two holographic figures reached center stage and the musical composition achieved its most integrated expression, the previously separate drone arrays began to merge, creating new visual patterns that represented not homogenization but harmonious interaction between distinct elements. The aerial choreography became a perfect visual metaphor for the musical conversation unfolding below, separate voices finding unexpected compatibility without losing their essential character. The emotional impact of this sequence was evident throughout the arena. The sophisticated audience, many of whom had approached the event with appropriate skepticism about technological recreation of beloved artists, found themselves moved by both the technical achievement and the artistic statement being made about the relationship between these two innovative creators who had been so often positioned as rivals rather than complementary voices. The performance reached its emotional peak when the musical composition transitioned into a section that allowed both holographic figures to improvise together, the programming drawing from multiple recorded examples of each artist's improvisational approaches to create the impression of spontaneous interaction. The drone orchestra responded with its most dynamic visualization, the 300 aerial lights moving in complex patterns that seemed to emerge organically from the musical exchange rather than following predetermined choreography. What made this segment particularly affecting was how it honored both the similarities and differences in the two artists' approaches to musical innovation. There was no attempt to suggest that Michael and Prince were artistically identical or that their distinctive voices could or should be merged into one. Instead, the performance celebrated how their different paths toward expanding the possibilities of popular music had created complementary legacies that together offered a more complete vision of artistic possibility than either could provide alone. As the composition reached its conclusion, the two holographic figures acknowledged each other with gestures of mutual respect before their forms gradually dissolved, not disappearing instantly but slowly transforming into pure light that rose toward the drone array above. The aerial orchestra responded with a final, breathtaking sequence, the entire fleet forming a unified pattern that incorporated visual elements associated with both artists into a new configuration that belonged fully to neither but honored both. When the last notes sounded and the drone lights gradually dimmed, the arena remained in darkness for several long moments, a deliberate space for the audience to process the emotional and intellectual impact of what they had experienced. When the house lights finally rose, the response was unlike anything typically witnessed in performance settings. People remained in their seats, many visibly moved, engaged in thoughtful conversation rather than rushing toward exits. Throughout the arena, strangers who had shared this experience found themselves discussing not just the technological spectacle but the artistic and philosophical statement about how we remember and honor innovative creators, how we might celebrate their legacies in ways that continue rather than simply preserve their commitment to expanding creative boundaries. In the days that followed, the future of music finale became the subject of intense discussion across traditional and social media platforms. Video clips, particularly of the final sequence featuring both holographic artists and the full drone orchestra, achieved unprecedented viral spread, generating hundreds of millions of views within the first 48 hours. What distinguished this response from typical viral phenomena was its depth as well as its breadth. Beyond the expected reactions to the technological achievement, the conversation expanded to encompass meaningful reflection on artistic legacy, the ethics of digital recreation, and the relationship between technological innovation and human creativity. Cultural critics noted how the performance had transcended mere spectacle to become a genuine artistic statement about honoring influential creators not through simple reproduction of their work, but through continuing their commitment to expanding creative possibilities. Technology publications analyzed the groundbreaking integration of holographic performance and drone visualization as a significant advance in how we might experience music visually as well as orally. Perhaps most meaningfully, the tribute generated renewed attention to the actual music and artistic philosophies of both Michael Jackson and Prince. Streaming numbers for their catalogs increased dramatically in the weeks following the event, with particular focus on their more innovative and experimental works, rather than just their biggest commercial hits. A new generation of listeners discovered or rediscovered the revolutionary artistry that had made both performers cultural icons. For the creative team behind the tribute, this shift in focus from the technology to the artistry it served represented the true success of their endeavor. As the artistic director expressed in an interview following the event, the technology was never the point. It was always a means to celebrate two artists who consistently used the most innovative tools available to them in service of genuine creative expression. If our use of these new tools has directed people back to the revolutionary music Michael and Prince created, then we've honored their legacies in the way that matters most. In this philosophy lay perhaps the most meaningful aspect of the entire project, the recognition that the most appropriate tribute to innovative artists is not preservation but continuation. Not freezing their work in time but using it as inspiration for new creative possibilities that they themselves might have explored had they lived to see them. If you've been moved by this glimpse into an innovative approach to honoring legendary artists, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Together, we keep alive not just the memory of extraordinary talents like Michael Jackson and Prince, but the spirit of creative exploration that defined their groundbreaking careers. The Future of Music tribute stands as a milestone in our evolving relationship with artistic legacy in the digital age, a demonstration that technology at its best doesn't replace human creativity, but provides new tools for expressing and experiencing it. By using the most advanced techniques available not simply to reproduce the past but to imagine new possibilities inspired by it, the performance honored Michael Jackson and Prince not just as legends to be remembered but as innovative spirits whose influence continues to expand the boundaries of what music can be and how we can experience it. In that continuing influence, that inspiration to push beyond established limitations toward new forms of creative expression, lies the true legacy of revolutionary artists. And in our willingness to engage with that legacy not through nostalgia but through ongoing innovation, we pay them the highest tribute possible. Not just remembering what they created, but continuing the spirit of creative exploration that made their work revolutionary in the first place.